Mm-hmm. We are in the hizzy. Oh, shizzy. Let's do it. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Young teams, older teams, playoff teams. Mm-hmm. Young teams, playoff teams, older teams, young teams. Who's a prominent, promising young team? Right? Who is that? So I was wondering about that. So I'm in the house, as you guys know. I'm down to do it. I'm gonna let everybody file in here. Everybody get themselves together because we got some stuff to talk about, and I think it's really important that we get to the bottom. What up, Eric? The reason why we're here is we got to get to the bottom of this MVP race. No, they're not, Bubba. They're not the same defenders that they used to be. No, they're not. I watched that Trailblazer game a couple of nights ago, and I watched Dame blow by Leonard. Blow by him. He's not nearly the one-on-one defender that he used to be. He's not. No, we not. Who you are looking at a small sample size. I watch a lot of Clippers games. Particularly since Russ been on the crew. I watch a lot of Clippers games, and because I watch a lot of Clippers games, not because I watch a lot of Clippers games, particularly to watch Paul George and Leonard defensively. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to watch these dudes strictly for offense. Because a lot of people talk about these guys, both Leonard and Paul George, as elite defenders still. And that's the tag that they have on them. So I watch them a lot, and I watch positioning. I watch the recovery and where they are when they get beat, how they recover. And Leonard doesn't make the effort nearly as he used to when he got beat. So with that being said, I want to talk about this MVP race, man. Yeah, more than anything. I want to talk about this MVP race. I want to talk about the criteria of league MVP more than anything. Because a lot of people that I talk to, not just in here, but the people that I talk basketball about, a lot of you dudes don't even know what the criteria of league MVP is. You can't give me a legit answer on what the league MVP is. You're basically going off of what you've heard from other people. And because of that, I get a whole bunch of different answers, right? I get a whole bunch of different answers from a bunch of different people. When I look at the league MVP, again, the league MVP is not the best player in the game. Sometimes the best player in the game wins it. Except he doesn't win it all the time. And the reason why I know that is because LeBron James hasn't seen the league MVP in a decade. And there's no logic that you could give me that over the last 10 seasons that he hasn't been the best player in the league. For more than a half the decade. You can't give me any logic to suggest otherwise. So because of that, right, it's not the best player in the league who wins the league MVP. It's the guy who's the most valuable to his team's success. So who is that guy? Is it the best player on the best team? Well, sometimes it's been that, right? Sometimes it's been the best player on the best team. But Sometimes it's been the best player on the best team. That's been a thing. Giannis won it in 2019 and in 2020. James Harden won it in 18. Right? Let's see. Steph Curry in 16 and in 15. James in 13. The theme is winning, right? The theme is definitely winning. So when you talk about the league MVP, obviously winning matters. Because I think that those other guys, Russell Westbrook in 17, Jokić last year, Moses Malone in 81, 80, not even Moses Malone, I take that back. Jabbar in 75, 76. Those guys are exceptions. Those guys are not the rule. The consistent league MVP has been about winning. So if he's been about winning, right? If he's been about winning, that means that we're grading him on how valuable he is to his crew winning. So how valuable are you to your team's success? It's not the best player. No, let's not do that, because that's not it all the time. Because again, the best player doesn't always win it. The best player on the best team wins it a lot of times, but the best player does not always win it. I mean, Barkley was not better than Jordan in 93. As a player, he may have had a better season. Sure. Malone in 97. He may have had a better season. David Robinson in 95. I mean, I think he played 5 more games. Oh, I'm sorry. I think Olajuwon missed like 10 games that season. And I think that's what hampered him. Because in terms of the numbers and in terms of defense, it was very similar. Very similar with these two guys. So with that being said, winning matters. We get caught up in narratives where if a team wins, if a guy wins it, he wins it based on that narrative. Prime example would be Russell Westbrook. The fact that Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double in the 16-17 season, and it's something that hadn't been done, and we're looking at 50 years. Over 50 years that we saw a guy average a triple-double, more than, I think it was 55 years or something crazy like that, that a guy had averaged a triple-double. So even if Oklahoma City would have finished 8th, the narrative was Kevin Durant left Russ. Russ still got that team into the playoffs, and Russ averaged a triple-double. The fact that they were winning, the fact that they weren't winning as much as Cleveland was, the fact that they weren't winning as much as Houston was, the fact that they weren't winning as much as San Antonio was, none of that mattered. And the reason why that didn't matter, because the narrative was already set. The narrative was already set. And because the narrative was already set, that was planted in everybody's mind. Russell Westbrook has to win the league MVP. Russell Westbrook has to win the league MVP, and that's what happened. Then you get last year with Jokić, who I don't think that he should have won the league MVP. I do not think he was more valuable to his team's success than Giannis was. I don't think that he was more valuable to his unit than Giannis was last year. Looking at what Milwaukee did, and not just what Milwaukee did last year, I didn't think he was more valuable, especially as a 6th seed. I was having a difficult time with that. So because of that, he's going to have a difficult time. Even though I think he's going to be the league MVP this year, I think he's going to have a difficult time winning it this year simply because of what happened last year. They may give it to Joel Embiid. And them giving it to Joel Embiid, it won't be because Joel Embiid is a better player. Even though I do think he's a better player, it won't be because Joel Embiid had a better season. Yeah, he leads the league in points. That is a fact. But because you lead the league in points does not mean you're the league MVP. That's not good enough. No, that's not good enough. Mm-mm. Not at all. So Joker being more valuable to his unit in Denver leads him to win the league MVP this year, I thought. But I think because he lost it, because he won it last year, being a lower seed, they're going to have a really difficult time giving it to him again this year. Even though I think he's the league MVP this year. I do. I think this year is the year that he's the league MVP. So that's where I'm at on that. That's where I'm at on that. So Keyshawn, wait, no way you believe Giannis MVP. You just said on your live he wasn't. Wait a minute. Whoa. Last year I said Giannis wasn't the league MVP. Tell everybody, because again, see, when my man Keyshawn comes in here, he's a part of the show. So let's make Keyshawn part of the show. Keyshawn, tell everybody last year who I thought the league MVP was. I want to make sure we get it correct now, because I don't want to be misquoted, right? I don't want to say anything that I get wrong. So tell everybody here what I said last year about the league MVP. Who did I think the league MVP was? Go ahead. Go ahead. This year, I thought Giannis was this year before the season started, I had Giannis winning the league MVP. That was, of course, until I saw what he was doing. I saw what Embiid was doing. I saw what Jokić was doing. And there was a bunch of other guys that I was thinking about too. There was a part of me, and I got roasted for this. There was a part of me that wanted to put De'Aaron Fox in the league MVP conversation. And the reason why is because I'm thinking about how valuable he is to that Sacramento unit. And not only how valuable he is to that Sacramento unit, what they're doing in the process of that. By show of hands, how many people had the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs alone? How many of you guys had the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs? Because I didn't. I had them on the outside. I had them on the outside looking into the play-in tournament. I had them in the 12th seed. I didn't think that they were good enough. I did not. So for them to climb from right outside the play-in tournament at 11, for them to do that, for them to surpass the play-in tournament to being a number 2 seed in the Western Conference. In the Western Conference is a big deal, man. It's a huge deal. So when I think about De'Aaron Fox, I mean, how many guards in the league are averaging 25 and 6? Dame, Trey, Luka. I'm just going off the top of my head now. Dame, Trey, Luka. James Harden is not averaging 25 and 6. Curry is not averaging 25 and 6. No, he isn't. Is Ja averaging 25 and 6? Is that a fact? I know Ja's averaging 27 a game. Is he averaging 6 assists? That's the question. Is Ja averaging 6 assists a game? Is that a fact? Are we sure on that? Can we go fact check that? That Ja's averaging 7 assists, 6 assists a game. He's averaging 8, as a matter of fact. So Dame, Trey, Luka, Ja. Curry, Fox. Now we go into how valuable are these guys to their team's success, and how valuable is, I think Irv is averaging 20. I think Irv averaging 25 and 6 too. I'm not sure. So now we go into how valuable are these guys to their team's success compared to how valuable De'Aaron Fox is to his team's success. right? So when I think about that, Sacramento got the number one offense in the league. In the process of them having the number one offense in the league, they also got the number one rebounder in the game too. So that helps. I think that I don't think it hurts De'Aaron Fox's case, but I don't think it hurts his case. But when I think about a guy that's valuable, he's the engine offensively that makes them go. And they got a damn good team. In the process of them having a good team, Mike Brown's been coaching his you-know-what off. Right? He's been coaching his you-know-what off. So I know that with De'Aaron Fox being as good as he is, that people will scoff at the idea that he could be the league MVP when I look at what Sacramento has when I look at what Sacramento has done, he's the engine that makes them go. You take him off that unit, I don't think they're a playoff team. They're the number 2 seed right now. Take him off that unit and put Davion Mitchell as the lead guard. I don't think they're the number 2 seed. I don't. I'm not sure that they're the number 2 seed if that's going on. I'm not sure. And Darren, what's up, Darren? I think Sabonis is the league leader in rebounds. I'm pretty confident Sabonis leads the league in rebounding. Pretty confident in that. Yeah, I'm pretty confident Sabonis leads the league in rebounding. Yep, pretty confident in that. Yep, Sabonis leads the league in rebounding. Yes, he does. And Jokić is second in the league in rebounding. Him and Giannis are tied for second in the league in rebounding. Yep. Those two guys are tied for second in the league in rebounding. So, and that's the other thing that I Anthony Davis has only played 46 games. And there's no set criteria, right? There's no set criteria for, right? There is no set criteria for all NBA honors. And I personally think that at the end of this season, Anthony Davis is going to be an all NBA performer and he's going to be an all league defender. And I think that it's amazing, like that I have people come in here and say the stuff that they say, like this dude, bruh Mentos. So your Luka Tatum, my Luka Tatum take is starting to, even though the dude is averaging 30 a game, he leads all small forwards in rebounding. His team is in a little slump right now, but it's awful. Like Luka is miles ahead of Jason Tatum. Bruh, you can't give me any legit logic to support that. You can't. There's nothing that you can give me to support that he's head and shoulders better than Jason Tatum. You can't do it. I challenge you to do it right now. I challenge you. Do it right now. That he's like this. Because that's essentially what you're telling me. That Jason Tatum is miles behind Luka, and he's not. And you can't do that. Hello, Jillian dear. How are you? You can't do it. So, with that being said, I really think that I really think that Anthony Davis is an all-NBA performer at the end of the season. I do. I think he's an all-league defender too. I do, and there's some pretty stiff competition at the 5 spot. Robert Williams has been in and out of the lineup, just like Anthony Davis has. Mobley plays the 4. Jaren Jackson plays the 5. Brook Lopez plays the 5. So, I'm trying to figure out, right? I'm trying to figure out how he doesn't make the All NBA defensive team. Like I look at the like I said, I look at the All League defensive team. Like I said, Jaren Jackson, I think he's a shoo-in, right? I think Jaren Jackson is a shoo-in. I think Brook Lopez is also a shoo-in. I think Giannis is a shoo-in at the forward spot. I think Evan Mobley is a shoo-in at the forward spot. Is OG a shoo-in at the forward spot? I think so. Yeah. I think he is. And I think you can make a legit argument. I mean, Anthony Davis isn't in the top. He's not in the top 5 in rebounding. And I think that's largely due to not enough games being played. Because I think that if you look at the standings, all of those dudes play way more games than him. That's why, because I think Anthony Davis averages like 12.5 rebounds a game. Same thing with blocks. He's averaging over 2 blocks a game. And because he's averaging that many blocks, but he hasn't played that many games. So compared to the rest of those guys, it might be a bit tricky. But if you look at his numbers, he's at the top of the league. I mean, like I said, when he's in the lineup, I think he's played 47 games. Yeah, I think he's played 47 games. So because he's played 47 games, I think he's hey, Big TV, get out of my live, man. I'm over you, yo. I'm over you. I swear. You come in my live. You know what? Let's do it. I'm so over this dude. I'm so over this dude. This dude is so corny. Like these people, let me tell you what these people do. These people come around and what they want to do is they want to eat off you. So let's get it on. You want to fight? You got one. Bring it. Goofy, come on in here. Bring it, Goofy. Come on in here. There's the link. Bring it, Goofy. I'm down. Dudes make me sick. You dudes always talk about inconsistencies when you completely leave out a lot of important stuff. So I'm really interested in hearing your logic. I am. I'm so interested to hear your goofy ass logic. Go ahead. Come on with it. Bring it. Yeah. Bring it. Bring it.
Yo. All right. So first of all, Tatum is not a better player.
I didn't say he was, so let's start the conversation there. I didn't say he was.
You said they're not far apart.
That's what I said. So get the story straight.
They are far apart.
No, they're not.
All right. So first of all, Tatum does nothing better than Luka.
I didn't say he's better. Stop. I'm out.
That's my point. Like I'm trying to get into my point.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. If you're going to make a point, we have to stick to what the topic is about. So first of all, did I ever say Jason Tatum was better than Luka? Did I ever say that?
No.
Okay, so with me saying that, you telling me there's nothing that Jason Tatum does better than Luka. So that doesn't mean anything because I never said he was better than him. We can stop the conversation with that right there.
All right. So the reason that they're not close is because outside of defense, Tatum doesn't do anything better than Luka. Luka is a better playmaker. He is a better shooter. He's more consistent for a fact. And he's done more with less. So
he's done more. Is that it?
Tatum, no, I'm talking. Luka has not had the pleasure of having the teammates that Tatum has had. I mean, Luka in a tougher conference last year went up against the Warriors, and
so last year we're talking about. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you.
And he didn't have a good enough roster like Tatum did. Like Tatum had another All-Star in Brown, a much better roster, and he choked when the lights got bright. So
is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack what you just said. So he does nothing better than Luka, which goes back to the original theory. He's not better than Luka. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Have we established that he's not better than Luka?
Yeah.
Now, did I ever say he was better than Luka?
No.
Okay, so we can dead that logic. Now, is the gap closer? Well, let's see here. You're telling me that Luka is a better playmaker. Let's say Luka is a better. Let's say that that's true. Luka is a better playmaker. Is it by a mile? And what do you define as playmaking?
I think getting your teammates involved the level of the pass, like the difficulty of the pass, like the production, how much he's getting his teammates involved, and how much the consistency of it too.
So basically, passing, that's playmaking to you.
Passing, like getting your teammates involved, level of difficulty, all that.
Right. So level of difficulty, what? What do you mean level of difficulty? I don't understand what
Like
that
how
means.
hard the pass is.
Okay, so passing, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, mainly.
Okay, so mainly pass. So he a better passing than Tatum.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
But passing and playmaking are not the same thing. Passing and playmaking are passing is part of playmaking. Passing isn't solely playmaking. So there are other aspects to playmaking.
Luka's a better playmaker too.
Overall, so what else? I'll say. So what else?
I just said. I said.
No, you didn't. You said
creating opportunities for your teammates.
And I don't think that's
so getting them in better positions.
And
he's done that with lesser quality teammates too.
Even if he is a better playmaker, I don't think that it's by a mile. No, I don't think that. And the reason why I don't think that is because I've seen Jason Tatum get to the rim. Now, he doesn't finish like the best players in the game should finish. No doubt about that. He doesn't pass it like Stockton or the best passers, but he is an efficient passer. Yes, he is. And he does playmake with the best of them. Getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line. He does do those things like Luka. Now, is it by a mile? No. Has the gap closed this year? Yes, it has. It's not this. It's gotten smaller. You haven't given me any legit logic to tell me that he's better. All you're saying is he's a better playmaker. My man, when you say something, it can't just be because I said so. That's not good enough. And that's all you just did. That's all you just did.
He's also a better playoff performer too, and you can't deny that.
Once again, he's a better playoff performer. Jason Tatum's numbers went down in the playoffs. From start to finish, they went down. Just last year, they went down. Now, is he a better playoff performer than Jason Tatum? This goes back to the original logic, sir. Is Luka a better player than Jason Tatum?
No.
Luka is a better player than Jason Tatum. We just established that. Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so let's focus. Luka is a better player than Jason Tatum. That is a fact. Is Luka a better playoff performer than Jason Tatum? Correct. Is it by a mile? No, it is not.
It is by a mile.
No, it isn't.
Luka's numbers uptake in the playoffs. Tatum's don't.
No, they just last season. That was just last season.
Yeah, I'm going off of Luka.
That was just last season. Jason Tatum's numbers went down. That was just last season. And now he has improved this season as a scorer.
But now, even
once he puts that mid-range in his game, I'm telling y'all, we talking about a top 3 player for the next 5 to 8 years. That's all I got. I'm telling y'all think I'm on some nonsense, but I'm telling y'all, when he gets that in between in his game, we got a top 5 play. We got a top 3 player in the league for the next 5 to 8 years. I don't even know how we got on Jason Tatum. Excuse me. I don't even know how we got on Jason Tatum. I wasn't even interested in talking about Jason Tatum. I wanted to talk about the other stuff, right? I wanted to talk about the MVP race, but apparently y'all want to talk about this goofy logic, but let's do it. I'm sure. Okay, let's do it. Yo, what up?
Yo, G. Got a couple of things to talk about with you, but 2 of them I'm going to get out the way real quick. So you were talking about the Fox MVP. Fox not the MVP. The reason he's not the MVP, and this is one logic only, and you can't fight it, and I'm explaining to you why. Sabonis made the All-Star team before him. So I know that probably don't mean too much to you, but we never seen MVP not make the All-Star team. In all years, how they been?
Aaron Fox made the All-Star team. What are you talking about?
He made it because
doesn't make a difference. He made the All-Star team.
No. I'm saying he didn't make it before Sabonis.
He still made the All-Star team. So what difference does it make? He made the All-Star team. So that's a moot point right there. He made the All-Star team. The fact that he didn't make it before somebody, that doesn't make any difference. He made the All-Star team.
And I think that team is just good as a whole. And I don't think nobody will say, but I get what you're saying. To take them off, but the AD All NBA performer, nope. And I got 6. It's 6, right? 2, 4, 6. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you make before? Let's just start from the top. Giannis.
We already got the forwards down. Giannis, let's see. I think he plays the 5. So I think Lopez is going before him.
No. I'm not talking about defense. I'm talking about all NBA.
All NBA.
Yeah, you say you got making the all NBA team.
So we got 3 teams.
I don't got making it before Giannis. James. Do you make it before KD? They both missed them out really about the same time.
I think KD might have missed more games.
All right. So that's 2, right?
I think you're thinking about a better player. That's what you're thinking about. I'm not thinking about a better player.
I'm thinking
if we looking at what James did, we looking at what KD did, and we looking at what Anthony Davis did. So we talking about a dude that's 26 and 13. He's the man on that Laker team. But okay, you're looking at KD as a scorer, but keep going.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Does he make the All-NBA team over Jaren Jackson?
I don't think he do because he didn't make the All-Star team over him. So
didn't Jaren Jackson start in the All-Star game?
Yeah, AD didn't make the All-Star team.
Okay, so he started in the All-Star. And just because you didn't make the All-Star team, just so you know, Dragon made the All-Star. Dragon didn't make the All-Star team, and he made the All-NBA team.
Oh, so that
DeAndre Jordan, not only did he not make the All-Star team in 2016, he was first team All-NBA. First team. So the fact that you don't make the All-Star team, that doesn't matter. But there have been guys who haven't made the All-Star team, but made the All-NBA team. So that doesn't matter.
Buddy, I want to get to my main debate because that's why I came prepared. So I wasn't alive. Someone kept saying Brunson was a top 5 point guard. You know, I'm looking at it crazy. He was looking at it crazy too. But I did my research, and I'm kind of down with him. Now look, this is my order. I did the research. Curry is not in here. Now I know you don't count Curry as a guard, but for the people in the comments, Curry's not because the time you missed. I'm like Ticket. I go for a yearly basis. I'm not going Curry 2 years ago. So in my order, Luka 1, Dame 2, Fox 3, Ja 4, Jalen Brunson 5. I know y'all like, Trae Young. Oh, just did my research. Trae Young is averaging 27 on 43% shooting. He's averaging 11 assists on 4 turnovers. Brunson's averaging 24 on 48% shooting, so you're averaging 1 more bucket.
Russell who? Russell Westbrook?
I mean, no, I meant to say Brunson. My fault. Brunson is averaging 24 on 48% shooting, 6 turnovers. 2 turnovers to 6 assists.
6-2. So what's that? I think that's a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and Brunson got the Knicks at the top, which is better than the Hawks. And I think that's primary due to him. I was telling you Brunson was the best Knicks player, and you ain't believe me.
I don't think he's the best Knicks player. No, I don't. You ain't selling me that. You're not selling me that.
Let's just stay on task. So will people fight that Brunson's having a better season than Trae Young? Because I know that's the biggest name people gonna say Trae Young. What you think, Rudy? What you think about that?
I think a lot of people, what they do is they get wrapped up in numbers, right? Not numbers. They get wrapped up in the individual player, and they forget about the season that a guy is having, right? And don't get me wrong. I mean, even though Trae Young is averaging what 27 and 11. Yeah, 27 and 11. And on paper, it looks good. It looks awesome. But
we got to take efficiency, turnovers.
But we have to take into consideration that sort of stuff.
And their 8 seed.
We have to figure out how he's doing it. We have to figure out how he's doing it and who he's doing it with. I already said you guys roasted Russell Westbrook. Even though y'all created this narrative about Russell Westbrook and a triple-double, Russell Westbrook averaged 26, 10, and 9 for 6 straight years. I don't care about efficiency. You can't name 5 other guards in the league doing something like that. You can't. So the fact that Jalen Brunson is doing what he's doing this season, I can appreciate what he's doing this season. But to have a guy like Trae Young, who, like you just said, 27 and 11 assists to how many turnovers?
4.
11 assists to 4 turnovers. What's that? A 2-to-1? Yes, that's still a 3-to-1 assist to turnover, almost 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, almost. So 27 points a game,
43%.
43.
That's basically what T-Mac did in 02-03.
And I'm on record that he takes a lot of bad shots.
Yeah, we were talking about that while McMillan.
Yeah, I'm on record that he takes a lot of bad shots. Is he having a better season? I don't get wrapped up in a guy just his numbers. I care about what you do.
I know you think wins do, and in this case, wins matter. As the Knicks, the Knicks to make the playoffs last year, which was one of my reasons. But you feel me? He's a big part on why why they're making the playoff. OG, his
Yeah.
points went up 8. He averaged 16. He averaged 24. 8 more points. Now I know you was telling me on live, feel me. Hopefully it's not a fluke. You feel me? Not you saying, you feel me, you want to see this on a regular basis. But would you agree that? Because I want to go to next names like Harden and things like that. So do you think he's having a better season than Trae Young? Would you agree with that?
He might be having a more efficient season than Trae Young.
Okay.
He might be having a more efficient season than Trae Young.
Now another name. Oh, actually, so
he might be having a more efficient season than Trae Young, but is he responsible for more than Trae Young is? That's the $1 million question.
But that more you're responsible for is not working as your team is trash. Let's not make it seem like Jalen Brunson got on the Bronx squad. The Knicks, the Hawks made the playoffs last year. Versus the Heat, I remember Trae Young. They had Trae Young, and then I don't think Trae Young.
So are you? So is your logic that the addition of Jalen Brunson, is he a better player or is he more valuable to this unit? You think he a better player than Julius Randle, or is he more valuable?
I'm not gonna go that far. See, he's a better player. I think he's
just more valuable.
Yes, and I think on paper also, feel me, he's up there, and I think he's more valuable to his team than Trae Young is. And OD, that's why I see you was having. You can't convince me a dude on a 6th place team is more valuable than a dude on a 1st place team. You're losing. You're losing regardless. Your team is 6. So I go from 6 to 12. I still was trash.
You can't tell me that. So you can't.
But yeah, but yep. OG, this the last one. This the Harden one because I heard a lot of Harden when people were saying in your comments. The thing with Harden, I gave 20 and 10, but I have to take this in consensus. OG, he is playing with the leading scorer on his team. Correct.
So
no, I'm just saying correct. I think Harden is a better playmaker than Jalen Brunson because Harden's having 11 assists on 2 turnovers. Harden's having a phenomenal.
But this isn't news. This isn't new. The stuff you bringing up with James Harden. James Harden had a 5-year stretch where he averaged 10 assists. So this isn't something that's new.
I'm not gonna lie. One of the main reasons I got Brunson over Harden this season is because of what he did to the Knicks. I think he really made that team the 4th. They played the 5th seed, 4th seed now. I think it's largely due to Brunson. And I know he on paper he's only averaging 2 more points. You feel me? But I'm going strictly off the value with that one. So I just want to know, do you agree with me on that? Brunson's having
on what that Jalen Brunson is having a better season? Again, man, I look at what Jalen Brunson is doing with the New York Knicks, and I'm looking at
in the comments.
Who are we taking off the All-Star team? We taking Drew Holiday off and putting Jalen Brunson on? Is that who we're taking off?
Who comes out and put Brunson in? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Who are we taking off the All-Star team? Are we taking Jalen Brunson? Are we taking Drew Holiday off?
He definitely having a better season than Drew Holiday.
Now he having a better season what? In terms of scoring?
That defensive gap is farther than that scoring gap.
You think so? I mean, because if I'm not mistaken.
No. I'm saying that Drew Holiday sense. That defensive gap between is much farther than that scoring gap that goes to Drew Holiday.
Right.
Man, I like Brunson a lot, OG. You could tell.
I do. And I dig him too. I dig him too. But with that being said, to be a top 5 guard, to have a top 5 seat, it's a difference between being a top 5 guard and having a top 5 season.
I think he's having a top 5 guard season.
All right, now, if you want to say that, I can get with that. I got no problem with that. If you want to say that, I could get with that. No problem.
Okay.
So, all right. What up?
What's up, bro?
What up?
I just want to say real quick, Trae Young is still averaging his career true shooting percentage, but he had a really bad start to the season, but he's actually picked it up in the second half. But I wanted to ask you about I don't know if you've already been asked this or not, but I heard that Embiid is the front runner for MVP. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I had Embiid, not Embiid. I'm sorry. I had
Giannis
winning the league MVP before the year started, and Joel Embiid. I think a lot of people, they still haven't given me a legit criteria on what the league MVP is. Is Joel Embiid more valuable to the Philadelphia 76ers than Joker is to Denver? Is he more valuable to the Philadelphia 76ers than Giannis is to Milwaukee? Is he more valuable to that unit?
I would say no.
He is running. Don't get me wrong. I can't fight 33 and what is he? 33 and 10, something like that.
It's about that, yeah.
Yeah, 33 and 10. Mm-hmm. I can't, and he's one of the best rim protectors in the game. So we might be having a conversation also about Joel Embiid being on the All-League defensive team. That's a big deal. But with that also being said, we're talking about a guy being the most valuable to his team's unit. Yep. Joel Embiid is running with a 20 and 10 guy. He's running with the best distributor in the game statistically, which is James Harden. When I think about what Joker is doing, and I've mentioned this to you in the past already, Giannis is running with the Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
Indeed.
Drew Holiday may be an all-league defender this year. Again, Giannis is going to be an all-league defender. He's running with arguably the best rotation player in Bobby Portis, who's averaging a double-double off the bench. Joker, on the other hand, these how many all-stars he got. These how many all-NBA performers he has. These how many all-league defenders he has. None of those dudes. Meanwhile, they're at the top of the Western Conference. What I don't want to do is I don't want to get best player confused with more valuable to his team's success. That's what I don't want to do. Because, again, I've said this in the past. The best player doesn't always win the league MVP. But sometimes he does. And because he does win the league MVP sometimes, a lot of guys will confuse that with him being the best player. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're doing it in consecutive, like, for example, when Larry Bird won it 3 straight years, Larry Bird was the best player in the game.
Yep.
It wasn't a question. As good as Magic was, Jabbar was on the other side of who he was. Doc was on the other side of who he was. Dominique was just turning into who Dominique was turning into. Jordan just showed up. Bernard King had gotten hurt. Larry Bird at the end of the 1985-86 season was the best player in the game. Is Joker the best player in the game?
No, I wouldn't say so. I still think it's Giannis because of the two-way value, but I think people are really like downplaying Jokic's value to that Nuggets team. Is that Nuggets team talented? Sure. Jamal Murray, I like Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon's a solid kind of swingman. They got shooters. They've got shooters on that team. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is I don't like to play the if you take them off game, but truly, if you truly, but it's an argument that I hear a lot, and I feel like people need, and I hear it for Giannis, but you need to use it for Embiid if you're going to use that logic. Because if you take Jokić off that team and you're starting Thomas Bryant, do you know how significantly worse that team is? Like significantly worse. And I hear that logic a lot for the Bucks.
Are they a playoff team? If you take Joker off that unit, Thomas Bryant is on there. Murray's running the one. Not only is Murray running the one, but KCP is now, he has more responsibility offensively, not just as a scorer, but offensively. Murray now has more responsibility offensively, not just as a distributor, but overall, he's got more responsibility. What happens to this unit?
I feel like
what happens to this unit?
I feel like Jamal Murray could certainly be a guy that steps up, but I feel like there's so many guys on the team that Jokić purely sets up, and I feel like it's going to be a really tough challenge. I feel like they could be a play-in team, but like I think that's kind of where they would peak out at if you were to play that game and take Jokić off. That's a logic I hear a lot, and I also wanted to.
Is James Harden take? And I don't like to do this neither, but how valuable is Embiid to that unit? I mean, and it's a small sample size. I think he missed. I think they 5 or 6 games over 500. I think he missed 11 games this year, and they 5 or 6 games over 500 without Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah, I think Harden is still that guy offensively. I feel like he's just taken a lesser role when it comes to his scoring. When I watch Harden, I see the same player, just maybe he's lost a step athletically, but he's still the same scorer. He's still just as good of a passer. He's just playing a different role than he's ever played in his career. And he kind of started that in Brooklyn whenever he would play alongside KD. I feel like if you take Embiid off that team, it's not just like the Rockets, but I feel like Harden can still take that team, maybe not deep in the playoffs, but I think they're still a playoff team if you take Embiid off. They've got wings on that team that I like. Harden is a good player. I really like Jalen McDaniels. I don't know if it's the right one that I'm saying. It's either Jalen or Jaden. They got him at the deadline. Montrezl Harrell can give you the kind of the minutes that he gave the Clippers. Now he's going to be pretty bad defensively, but I just
feel like, defensively, no doubt about that.
Yeah. I just feel like that this Sixer team is a bit deeper in terms of offensive talent than the Nuggets are. I feel like people look at the Nuggets like their stats, like the players' stats. and they don't realize that these players aren't really creating for themselves whatsoever. It's Keyshawn NBA. I meant Jaden McDaniels. These Nuggets players are not creating for themselves whatsoever. They are completely reliant on Jokić. Even Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. doesn't have this deep bag as a scorer. I feel like that's another misconception I hear.
No, he does not. He doesn't.
Michael Porter Jr. All he does is attack closeouts. He can hit a step back three here and there, but he heavily relies on Jokić, just like almost everyone else on that team. Murray to an extent. I feel like Murray is probably the best scorer on that team outside of Jokić. But Murray plays well off of Jokić as well, so I'm not sure how different that would look either. So there's just so many concerns offensively if you take Jokić off that team. But then you've got how bad they are defensively as well. So, I mean,
I just what I don't want to confuse. I don't want to confuse best player with more valuable. That's what I do not want to confuse that. That's why, again, before the season started, I had Giannis as the league MVP, but then I started looking at his unit and how valuable he is to that unit, as opposed to how valuable Jokić is to his unit, how valuable Embiid is to his unit, how valuable De'Aaron Fox is to his unit, right? I can appreciate the logic of, on the other side of the basketball. I mean, Magic wasn't great. He wasn't a great defender. Magic was average at best. I mean, Barkley wasn't a great defender. Malone was an elite defender, right? Yep. Shaq was also at that time when he won the league MVP. Shaq was an elite defender. He finished second in the league in Defensive Player of the Year. So, and he also made the All-League defensive team a couple more times after that. So, you being on the other side of the basketball at an elite level, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win the league MVP, because what that goes into is that ties into the logic of you being the best player, and that's not what this is about. This is about how valuable you are to your unit as opposed to how valuable this guy is to his unit.
Yeah. That's what. Can I ask one more question? Can I ask one more question before I go?
Yeah.
I asked this to Low. I asked this to Mars. I asked this to Dub. I just want to know, because this is a player that I see kind of get ranked in the top 20 pretty consistently. What kind of player was Dr. J? Because I never got a chance. I've never watched back any of his film. I just seen highlights. So what kind of player was he?
Doc was an exceptional transition player. Doc was an exceptional one-on-one player. He had the biggest hands where he could just pick the ball up, especially in transition. He could pick the ball up off the stride. He was an exceptional athlete. Doc had a money mid-range game. Doc was one of the best one-on-one players in NBA history, one of the best one-on-one players. And how wide open the game was during that time, because nobody has seen a player like Doc. I mean, David Thompson was a high flyer, but a guy like Doc who can play in space the way he played, even during a big man league, Doc made a lot of space for a lot of people. Doc played defense at an elite level. I mean, Doc he made the All-League defensive team in the ABA. He's in the top 10 all time in steals. So Doc was awesome. Yeah. He revolutionized the game.
Any type of weaknesses he had to his game?
Doc wasn't, again, what we see today is a lot different than back then. So
Doc to his peers.
Yeah, well, Doc didn't have a strong left hand, but he could go left. He didn't have a strong left hand. His mid-range game was about maybe 16, 17 feet. That's where he was really good consistently. Anything past that, it got tricky.
Okay.
Anything past that, it got tricky. He was a really good rebounder for his position. Doc was awesome at that. But he didn't really have a lot of weaknesses in his game. He didn't.
Any today comparisons? Like if you could come up with one.
Who would Doc be in today's game? Oh, what you call it? Think Giannis. Think Doc is Giannis, except he's 3 inches bigger and with a left hand and can defend. That's what Doc is.
That's pretty impressive. Okay.
Yeah, that's what Doc is.
I'll be sure to try and watch back. Thank you.
Yep. All right, brother.
Hey, OG, how you doing?
What up?
I was just I hate to go back to the Luka and Tatum thing, but I'm a Tatum fan. I'm a Boston fan. And what bugs me is, like, I get if people have an opinion, they want to think Luka's better. I think he is on one side of the basket, but my thoughts, and I don't know if about you, is I'm thinking who is more valuable in the future, skill wise. Because like I do care about now, but I'm thinking like these guys are so young. I want to pick somebody who I think is going to be able to be that person 5-6 years from now and carry me and my team further. And I feel like that's Tatum. I feel like Luka's very limited. Unless he can get some people around him, Luka's very limited.
Well, let's take the skill set off the table for a second. Have you seen Luka throughout the season? Has he been in and out of the lineup?
Yeah.
So if you had to get, if somebody asked you today, do you think Luka's going to hold up for 10 more years?
No.
Do you think Tatum's going to hold up for another 5 more years? Or let's say 8 to 10 more years. You think Tatum's going to hold up?
I think so. Yeah.
I think he will. I do think he will. Add that to the fact that when I look at Jason Tatum and I look at Luka, I think we've seen the best of him. I don't think it gets better. Now, that doesn't mean that can't continue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could continue. That's why I feel like he's better now, but I think that there's still more with Jason Tatum. I don't think we've reached the ceiling yet. I think that there's still more there. I've always stood on the logic that by year 5, you probably have seen this is probably who this guy is. But with that also being said, there are things that can improve. So there can be more of a consistency.
And he wants to improve.
Yeah, there can be more of a consistency with Jason Tatum. And once he gets more consistent, especially with that mid-range, I'm on record saying this, that 12 to 15, that 15 to 18, if he gets more consistent with that, we're talking about a top 3 player for the next 5 to 8 years.
Totally.
I'm not on the fence about that.
Yeah, like for me, like obviously I like Luka. I don't like a sound, but I just feel like Tatum at least shows me that he is trying. And I don't watch a lot of Luka, but from when I do see, it's just like he just sticks to what he knows, and he goes with that. While Tatum does try defense. He is trying his mid-range shot and stuff like that. And so you can see that, okay, the wheels are turning and he is trying. I don't know, maybe Luka will next year start trying. I don't know. But from what I heard from you guys on the panel and stuff like that, he's just a one-dimensional, one-set kind of guy. And that's not really something I would want to put my hopes and dreams into.
I can appreciate building your unit around a guy like that. But you got to build it, right? From a skill set, I can appreciate you building your unit around a guy like that. However, when you got a guy like that on your unit, you got to get the other things because he lacks those other things, especially on the defensive side of the basketball. So I got to get a guy on the wing who defends because this dude doesn't do it, right? Same logic with Magic. So Magic wasn't a great defender, so we got to get Michael Cooper on the wing to defend. We got to get Byron Scott. We got to get guys like that to defend, as opposed to a guy like Jason Tatum, where there's still meat on the bone when it comes to him defending, right? There's still food on the plate, and when it comes to him being an offensive player, it's still there. When I look at Luka, and once again, I want to make sure I'm clear, I do think that he's a better player right now. But I think the ceiling with Jason Tatum, I don't think it's there yet. And I think the problem that we're having more than anything is consistency. That's where we are. So, all right, brother. You know where to find me at. What up?
Salute, Chill Town.
Yes, sir. What up?
Yeah, I just had some bars, man. Like these bars I'm gonna drop. This is gonna be a good one right here, Chill Town. I want your top 5 left-handed players in the history of the NBA.
Left-handed. All right, Bill Russell. Chris Mullin, Tiny Archibald, Chris Bosh, I'm having a tough time putting Tiny Archibald over Kenny Anderson, but he was better than Kenny Anderson. He was. Lamar Odom was fantastic, but James, I can't put Lamar Odom ahead of James Harden. I can't do it.
Hey, watch this.
And I got to take Chris Bosh off, and David Robinson was better than him.
Hey, that's what I was saying. Chill, tell. Watch this. Hey, watch this. I'm going to mess you up when I say this. Guess who's gonna be my starting 4? Derek Coleman.
Derek, DC left a lot of meat on the bone too, yo. He left a lot on the plate.
Yeah.
Because when DC came around, they was talking about him being Malone good. Because he was basically what the 4 is today. Stretch the D, pass it with the best of them. One of the better transition 4s, had a money mid-range game, could shoot the long ball. Everybody was expecting him to be what Malone is. He was basically going to be a better version of Malone during that time. So
Derek Coleman left a lot. He left a lot to be desired.
Another one I thought about, Chill, when I was thinking about the shooting guard, this is gonna be a throwback too. Michael Redd. Gave him a couple of years that Michael Redd had with Milwaukee.
Was he better than Mullen? Was he better than Mullen? He wasn't better than Chris Mullin. And Michael Redd had a long ball for anybody. He could crack the long ball with the best of them. He wasn't better than Mully though. No.
Yeah. Okay.
He was not better than Mully.
I'll give you that, Chill. And then I thought about like you said, Kenny Anderson. He definitely popped in my head, Kenny Anderson.
Yeah.
But then another one I gotta give him some love. Nick the Quick, Nick Van Exel.
Was he better than Tiny?
Tiny was definitely a better floor general leader, and then Tiny won. So of course you're gonna give the edge to the people that won.
Led the league in scoring and assists in the same year.
But Nick the Quick, though, I'm thinking about like at my point, because to me, Nick was one of those players, Chill, like it's certain players that come in the league to where they stop themselves. It's literally nothing you can do as a defender. It's like they're gonna get theirs. It's either they're gonna have a bad shooting game or they're gonna have an off game.
What's his name? And when I talk to people about Nick Van Exel, I tell Fox, the kid in Sacramento, that's Nick Van Exel.
Yeah.
So yeah, brother, no doubt. No doubt. You know where to find me at, no doubt. What up?
Brainless fool. You're a
goofball alerts. We got goofballs in the house. You gotta love them. You gotta love goofballs. You know how long he was on hold for? You know how long he was on hold for? Talk about a goofy, right? Talk about a goofy. What up,
Chilltown?
What's up, brother?
I just came in. I'm just gonna ask a quick question. Have you paid attention to the Lakers lately and the way that they have been winning games? To me, this is not a conspiracy theory, but the Lakers are really pushing for the reps are really pushing for the Lakers to win and get in the playoffs. I just want to say some facts really quick. Since the Boston game, the Lakers have outscored their opponents from the free throw line 597 to 392.
200 more free throws. Okay.
Yeah. And if you just watch these games, because the Lakers, they don't score a lot from three. So the teams are outscoring them from three and also in the paint sometimes. But the way they make their runs is the refs slow the game down and they get to the line a lot. Like you saw last game, Austin Reeves, 19 times. 19 free throws for Austin Reeves, a role player, second-year role player. To me, it's kind of fishy. And I've been seeing the calls that they've been getting. To me, I feel like the refs are really pushing for the Lakers to make a run right now.
Is it fair that the Los Angeles Lakers aren't put together to be a long ball shooting team? Because that's what it was in the beginning. And even when they made the trades that they made, they're still not that equipped to be in the same category with some of the best long ball shooting teams. So the fact that they don't shoot the long ball like you would like them to, this team, the fact that they don't shoot the long ball like you would like them to, that's why their numbers are the way that they are. Because this team is basically built around Anthony Davis being their offensive force. He's the guy, if you notice, when he struggles, they struggle.
Yeah.
But when he's playing, they're playing. So last night, for example, watching them against Orlando and watching Wendell Carter push Anthony Davis off the block, watching him push Anthony Davis out of the mid-range, which would explain why they had to speed the game up.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis turned into a defensive force, which is what he was, and they sped the game up a little bit more. And with them speeding the game up the way that they did, Austin Reeves getting to the basket more, right? Not only getting to the basket more, getting fouled more. So that may attribute to why they were going to the stripe the way that they were going to. I'm not sure that it's a conspiracy, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, no question about that. I'm all for conspiracies, but watching that game last night, they play off of Anthony Davis, and when he wasn't going like he could be, the problem that we're having is that with him not going the way he is, with him not playing the way he's playing, that he can be in the when he's in the dominant space. Now they got to speed the game up, and they got to play more wide open. Then you got guys like Beasley, you got guys like D'Angelo Russell, you got guys like Vanderbilt who have to shoot more, and that's not to their advantage. Even though Beasley is one of the better long ball shooters, their advantage is getting Anthony Davis involved in the offense early and often.
Yeah, but if you, the games that are coming up, I need you to pay attention to the referees and what they're doing, because the teams that they're facing are not getting the same calls that the Lakers are getting. To me, a role player getting 19 free throws in a game, I've never seen that before. And I'm a Mavs fan, so I watched the last Mavs game, and the Mavs were outscoring them from three like crazy, and almost the same amount from the field. And the way they made their run, it was just foul after foul after foul after foul. It's just brutal to watch as well. But I think
I've seen role players go to the stripe a number of different times. I don't think that's something that's unusual, right? And because you're a star, that doesn't mean that you get to go to the stripe more. But I understand it. I understand you going to the stripe more.
They know the little tricks to get to the line, and I don't think that Austin Reeves knows them too well.
So you don't think he deserves to go to the stripe as many times as he did? You think that the whistle was a little? You think that the whistle was a little quicker? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to go as far as to say it was a conspiracy, but I can appreciate your logic. So, all right, brother.
Yeah,
all right.
thank you very much.
What up,
Yo, what's up, Chill? How you doing, man?
What up with you?
What up? Oh man, as far as with the NBA MVP right now, I just did the video. I think Joel Embiid right now is my leading candidate for MVP. Early on, I had Jokić because of what he was doing, averaging a triple-double, taking the Nuggets to the number 1 seed. But lately in the month of March, he and the Nuggets have slipped off. Joel Embiid, 9 consecutive games of 30 or more points. The 76ers are now the number 2 seed in the East. I don't have them going to the conference finals, but I think at this moment, if Embiid can keep it up, it's his to lose. I know you have Giannis winning the MVP, and that's
I had him before the season started, but that's changed because I'm thinking about there's a difference between best player and more valuable. But keep going.
Those are two different. Those are
two different things.
But I wouldn't have a problem if Giannis won it because, again, his greatness, you can't deny that.
Right.
I think people would make the argument for Embiid over Giannis is because of durability. Giannis has missed some games this season. Embiid, for the most part, for a guy who's known for durability issue, he's been able to stay on the court healthy. But, I mean, Embiid has just been a monster and a terror. And I just think, man, Philly, they clearly won that Ben Simmons trade because James Harden, even though he may not be what he used to be in Houston, he's being what they thought he was supposed to be.
Well, I don't think that they need him to be what he was in Houston because
they don't need him to be that. They don't need him to be that.
That unit that he was in, that unit when he was in Houston, he was responsible for everybody's offense, including his own. Right. He was responsible for scoring and everybody else scoring. He was responsible for all of that stuff, including Chris Paul. Only except he doesn't have to do that with Joel Embiid. Plus, we now get to see. There was a short sample size last year because he got Joel Embiid in the middle of the season. Joel Embiid got him in the middle of the season, so they weren't even acclimated to each other. This year, we've actually got a full season to see what they look like together. And he's the league leader in he's the league. Yeah, not only is Joel Embiid the league leader in points, but James Harden is the league leader. He's the best distributor. Yeah, he's the best distributor in the game, right? He's the league leader in the game. So with that being said, that's where I get a little bit hampered with Joel Embiid because I think about, again, I can appreciate how he's playing with James Harden, but I think about what Joker is running with, how responsible he is for everybody else's offense, including his. He's the best defensive rebounder in the game. Not only is he the best defensive rebounder in the game, a lot of people talk about how bad Joker is on defense, when in reality, they're matching him up with slowing down Giannis. They're matching him slowing down Embiid and guys like that, when in reality, who's slowing down Giannis?
But yeah, and that's the point right there. And look, in today's game, do a lot of these cats a lot of days play defense? Like
that's what I'm saying.
Right. People keep using Jokić don't play defense. Jokić don't play defense. I mean, look, not a lot of people play defense in today's game, but still, it's about what you've done overall. Jokić can still put. If you take Jokić out of that equation, where would Denver be? Would they still be a playoff caliber team?
I think it would be really difficult for them to get into the playoffs. They may be a play-in team. Maybe.
Right. That's my point. They would, at best, I see them 9th, 10th seed fighting for that play-in spot. 9th, 10th seed trying to compete. But I give it to Embiid, man. I mean, everything that he's doing so far, man, I can't take anything away. Yeah. The only questions I have with the 76ers is how they handle when the pressure gets tight, when the ball game gets slow. Doc Rivers, what adjustments are you going to make? Because again, you under a lot of heat and a lot of pressure this postseason.
That's why to your point, that's why I don't really care that much about what I see from James Harden, because this isn't new. Like a 20-10 guy, that's not nothing new for me. What I care about I've seen this from him before. So I'm not looking at him going, yo, James Harden is nice. I already knew this. What James Harden's staple is going to be is in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
That's where it's gonna resonate for me, right? That's what's gonna move me. It's not gonna be what he's doing right now. Don't get me wrong. Joel Embiid is running with a 20-10 guy, and that matters in the regular season when we're talking about league MVP. However, when we're talking about a guy in terms of his legacy and James Harden, I've seen all of this from you already, my man. I need to see this translate into the playoffs, and I need to see this translate into the playoffs in a productive way more than anything.
I think Jokić is under the most pressure to win a championship, because if he wins it, the MVP again, then, and if he fails to get them past the first round, then of course Kendrick Perkins.
We can't have this conversation. We can't talk like when you talk to me about Chamberlain, when you talk to me about David Robinson, I don't want to hear Joker name. I'm not listening to it.
That's going to be an indictment on Jokić as far as
not going to hear it
in career.
I'm not.
But that's the thing they're going to hold against Jokić. And I don't know if you heard the news. Magic Johnson, he's joining a bid to possibly buy the Commanders.
Yeah,
what you think about that?
I think that's dope. I mean, if you look at Magic always has his hands in all sorts of things. And that Commanders, that organization, that needs to be cleaned up.
They've been a dumpster fire since
it has been.
Took ownership.
It has been. It has been. It's been completely and utterly ridiculous over there. And I think that they definitely need a breath of fresh air. And I think Magic is one of those guys, whether he's a minority owner, whether he's a majority owner, which would be dope. I think that would be awesome for him to come in there and help clean that thing up in Washington. Because me being from the Northeast, I can tell you right now, football is awesome in the Northeast when I was about to call them the Redskins. I'm sorry, they're no longer the Redskins. When the Commanders are awesome.
Yeah.
When the Giants, when the Commanders and the Eagles are awesome, football is awesome in the Northeast, no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
So,
and also too, man, look, it's been tough. The only thing, look, you speaking to a Washington fan. The only reason why I became a Washington fan because God rest his soul, Sean Taylor. You know, we miss guys like that, the impact, the value. Snyder got to go. I mean, he is right up there as an owner as far as one of the worst. Right up there with Jimmy Haslam, right up there with Jim Dolan. Daniel Snyder is in that ballpark, but if Magic Johnson takes ownership, that would be great. That's something for we as Washington fans can finally move on.
No doubt,
anyway, man. I know you got to go.
You know where to find me at, brother. Good to talk to you. Yo,
you can hear me?
What up?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the. I don't know. I just don't like how people is like just putting Joker as the MVP just like for the whole season when like the Sixers for 5 months have been literally the best team in the league.
No, they haven't been. No, they have not. That's not true.
In my opinion, when I watch them, I feel like they're the best team in the league.
Okay, so you're a little bit biased, and that's fine that you are. I can get with that. I can get with that. But if we're gonna talk about it, my man, we got to be transparent. They haven't been the best team in the league. They have been one of the best teams in the league, no doubt about that. And Joel Embiid has been fantastic.
Exactly. Here's my thing. You play basketball, you watch basketball, you know you ain't playing the NBA, but you know how hard it is to be the anchor of a top 7 defense and top 7 offense, while your 2 best guards are cones on defense.
Especially as a big man.
Especially as a big man. And on
particularly as a big man.
I see a lot of people talking about, Joel don't rebound. He don't rebound how he should. Okay, I get that. But if you watch the Sixers, now me it's different because I watch every Sixers game. I don't miss a dribble.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you watch the Sixers, nobody's really testing his jaw at the rim like that. So when everybody's shooting, and plus we're like I said, we got real bad guards on defense. So there's not the rotations are sometimes just crazy, and we give up a lot of open threes. So a lot of them open threes, they either whether they go in or they miss, they're long rebounds. So Harden, who's getting it, he's going with it. Or Maxey, he's getting it and going with it. You know what I mean? Like going chasing the basket. And I don't think people I just don't think people really watch the games to see like what this man is doing every night. Like 34 and 10, and you a top 5 defender in the league. I don't think we've seen that before.
No doubt we have. I mean, when Shaq won the league MVP, he was 30 and 14.
Was he a top 5 defender in the league?
30 and 30. Yeah, he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year the year he won the league MVP in 2000. Finished second in the league in Defensive Player of the Year.
Damn,
lost out to Lonzo Mourning.
Okay, okay, I respect that. But that's just the propaganda I want to get off. But I also
make no mistake about it. I think Joel Embiid could be a better rebounder because when I see him, I think about guys like Olajuwon. I think about guys like Ewing. Right. I'm thinking to myself, this dude could be a better glass cleaner than what he is. And the reason why he's not is because he'd be roaming on the perimeter like he does. And when he's in the pick and dive,
he falls in love with that midi. But man, it's
money though. It's money. I ain't gonna fight that. It's money. But when he's in the pick and dive with James Harden, how much better of a rebounder could he be if he dove to the basket more instead of a pick and pop, right? Or instead of a pick and flare? Because what that does is now that takes pressure off the defense. Not just takes pressure off the defense on the perimeter. That takes pressure off the defense on the backboard.
Yeah.
Because he's not diving to the basket and making those dudes block out, making those dudes rebound, gang rebound. Because if you're dealing with, I don't know, let's say Evan Mobley, who's a young guy, right? Or you're dealing with this kid from Portland, who's a young guy. One-on-one, you can't handle me on the backboard, which means that now my team has to gang rebound because we got to help him rebound against this guy. And I think he lets a lot of teams off the hook with that. I do.
Yeah, he do. He could be. It's times I wish he would be a lot more assertive and play that more old school big man game. But if it's working, it's working, man.
It's working. No doubt. All right, Joe. You know where to find me at, Tony Tone.
Yes, sir.
What up?
Can you hear me, Chilltown?
What up?
What up? Hey, I'm a Celtics fan, so I gotta ask you a couple questions. Okay, so what do you think about my team recent struggles? Like basically, like ever since Jason Tatum messed up his wrist, I forgot who was it against. He messed it up in January. I forgot who. I think it was against Toronto. I can't remember. Ever since he messed up his wrist, he haven't been shooting the same.
Is he battling a wrist injury? I did not know that because he doesn't look like it. He does not look like he's battling a wrist injury. He looks just fine to me.
When we played the Lakers, he had a little cast on.
I did not know that. I did not know he was battling a wrist injury. Now,
so
the recent struggles. Go ahead. I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
Oh no, yeah, my bad. No, what I wanted to say is, I wanted to say that a lot of people don't want to get Al Horford or Malcolm Brogdon no credit. You know what I mean? Malcolm Brogdon is the lead leader in threes, and Al Horford is like third in threes, right? Al Horford, you know what I'm saying? Like some games, like he'll be exhausted. You get what I'm saying? Because he's old, he passed his prime. So sometimes Al Horford would probably drop about 18, maybe 20 points. Some games he would drop down. He would drop about 5 or 8 points. But Al Horford, he's like. You feel me? He's like the captain of our defense because Robert Williams, he been inconsistent. You know what I mean? Right, and Marcus Smart missed 2 months. Rob Williams missed pretty much the whole season. Right. Rob Williams, I don't think he played 20 games this season.
Are you ready to move off Robert Williams at the end of the season? How you feel about that?
I think if he get hurt, or if he don't get it done, I think we should trade him.
All right. I kind of feel like that too.
And then what do you think about Grant Williams? About him blowing the game. He blew the game against Milwaukee. He blew the game against Cleveland, and he want to make over $20 million. This is the contract year. What do you think about that? And then also, he got blocked against Utah.
He is one of the best rotation players in the game, though. He is that, no doubt about that. He is one of the best rotation. He is one of the best rotation players in the game.
He shut down Giannis, but him and Al Horford, they kept Giannis
under his
averages and KD. Exactly.
They made it difficult on him, and that's the idea. That's the idea.
Even though Giannis had about 39, 35 points, but look how many shot attempts Giannis took. So if you held somebody under the average, that's that's basically considered that you did your job. You locked him up. You feel me?
Yeah, I can get with that. Sure, I can definitely get with that.
I don't
think
like how nobody get Jaylen Brown no credit.
No, he gets plenty of credit. Jaylen Brown gets plenty of credit. I've said it in the past. I've asked the question that I've posed, and I'm not on the fence about it. I've asked: is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum what Kawhi Leonard? I'm sorry. Is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum what Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were supposed to be?
Yes,
that's what I think.
Because look, Kawhi PG when Kawhi went to sign with Clippers, he was like, "I'm not gonna sign with you guys unless you trade for Paul George." That's why they gave with it SGA, but Gallinari and those guys, they didn't want to give up on SGA. Kawhi, I think that was a bad move. He should have kept SGA. You feel me?
Yes.
But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are the best two-way wings in the game. It's not Kawhi Leonard or Paul George. I think they're second. But, you know what I'm saying, consistency-wise and winning-wise, who has a bigger impact on winning? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
I think Jason Tatum has to get a little bit more consistent with his game, but I think you can make that argument stronger later. But I think it's a conversation, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't.
Because Jason Tatum, like after Kyrie left, he became the number one guy. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So his rookie year, as the fifth best player, because his rookie year he was not better than Jaylen Brown, right? Because look, we had Gordon Hayward, we had Kyrie Irving, we had
that's how he got into the lineup, because Gordon Hayward got hurt. If Gordon Hayward doesn't get hurt, he doesn't get in the lineup like that.
Exactly. So
that's how he ended up getting in the lineup.
He was averaging about 14 or 16 points his rookie year, and in the playoffs he was averaging about 25 to 28 points a game. You get what I'm saying? Jason Tatum, he took his team, him and Jaylen Brown, to a game 7 against LeBron James, right? Who was arguably the best player in the world at that time in 2018.
It wasn't arguably, he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So if we didn't have Daniel Tice, our starting center, I'm not saying he's in all be all, but he was one of the best shooting big men in the league. You get what I'm saying? And we run a lot of switching. You know what I mean? Because we had Al at the 4 and we had Tice at the 5.
Yeah. I can get with you.
And then we had Kyrie Irving was a top 3 guard at the time, right? And then we had Gordon Hayward, who was coming off an all-star season, but he got injured the first game.
I'm interested to see what happens more than anything in terms of consistency with this Boston Celtics team, because I think that they still are the second best team in the Eastern Conference. I think Milwaukee is the class of the East, but I'm interested to see if they can put it together in terms of consistency.
All I was to say, Chill, my bad, I wasn't done. Basically, Tatum overcome a lot. Even though he had a meltdown in the finals, even though he's been struggling recently and whatever, but like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna call Tatum a bum or washed up. He's not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He does gotta get his shit together. He look exhausted out there. You feel me? He look uninterested. You know what I mean? Right. But then I heard, I heard his wrist been bothering him still. So
I'm interested to see I'm interested to see how he bounces back, because we got to take under consideration how Boston plays. Right, I think we got to do that. So, I gotta go. T, it's good to talk to you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Doubt. Spoo, I ain't forget about you. You asking me the player comparison of Bradley Beal? Like who am I comparing Bradley Beal to today in today's game? I read your super chat, and all I saw was who am I comparing Bradley Beal to now? As a perimeter player back in the day, or like. What do you mean in terms of today? Who is he compared to? Who is Bradley Beal compared to back in the days? Like an athletic wing that could score. He's kind of got a Latrell Sprewell. He don't defend like Spree does, but he kind of got a Latrell Sprewell thing going on in terms of being an athlete. I think the game is a little bit more wide open. But I see that kind of I get that kind of vibe with him with Latrell Sprewell more than anything. So, hello, Jillian, dear. How are you? What up?
Good. How are you?
What's going on?
I'm here to push the Embiid MVP agenda.
I knew it. I knew it. I was like, here we go. So let me buckle up, because I'm here for it. Jill's got her sign. Embiid for MVP.
I do want it, and at this rate, I think it's going to happen. But I was just kidding about pushing the agenda. But I did want to say that I think that recent, like over the past couple of weeks, I'm sure you've seen too, but like I feel like there's just been some kind of like negative, toxic discourse around this MVP race, like throughout some of the major networks. And I just feel like, and it's mainly between like people who want Jokić versus Embiid. I feel like Giannis has, even though he shouldn't be, has kind of been like left out in a way.
It is, right? Like it seems like we kind of talking a lot about Joker, talking a lot about Embiid, and kind of we're forgetting this guy who's the best player in the game. We're completely forgetting about him.
Yeah, but I think it's just, it sucks that there is this kind of like negative discourse around it, because I just think it's really cool that for the past, 2-3 years now, the MVP race has been narrowed down to 3 big men. Like, and I think that hasn't happened in, I don't know, you probably know, but I don't know. And I just
90s.
think that we're
Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Shaq.
Yeah, and I just feel like we're all missing that with like this cloud of just this narrative. Well, if Jokić wins this, well, if Embiid wins, then da-da-da, or, you know, like it's just everything in that respect. And I just feel like we're missing the general conversation of like, this hasn't happened in so
It has not. It has not. The last time I think that we've been this close in terms of the league MVP, I think it was in '94. I mean, David Robinson led the league in scoring. Olajuwon won the league MVP that year, and I think Shaq finished second in the league in scoring that year. So this is probably the closest we've been. The big man, and I've mentioned this in the past, Jill, the big man is alive and well. Everybody keeps trying to tell me that the big man, this is no longer a big man game. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. In fact, what happened was the big man got tricked. He got tricked into listening to you guys. Now he's further away from the basket, when in reality, he should be playing where he is the most effective. But he's still alive and well. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
So I just thought that was pretty interesting. And then one of the 2 things I wanted to ask was, the first being, we're all, I mean, knock on wood, but we're all like pretty sure that Milwaukee is going to be the team that's going to come out of the
I think
East.
they're the class. I think they're the class of the Eastern Conference. I do, barring any injuries.
For sure. Do you think there's any team out west that, because I've been trying to think about it and I haven't been able to come up with like a good answer, that actually like would give them a run for their money? Because or what would be the best team to, I guess, match up with them? Although I still don't think whoever it would be would win the series.
I said before the season started, I think that the Warriors are the class of the Western Conference. Until somebody bounces them, they're the team to beat. I think Denver has the
road
best
record is so bad.
Garbage, absolutely garbage. And I think that's largely due to their best defensive player on the perimeter not being there, which is Andrew Wiggins. That's a big deal that they don't have him. But I think Denver has one of the best opportunities to dethrone them. I'm not sold on Memphis. As good as Memphis is in terms of being young, I have yet to see a team that's powered by kids win the NBA championship. The Oklahoma City Thunder had Russell Westbrook at 23, Kevin Durant at 22, James Harden at 22. I think Ibaka was 24, and I think the Miami Heat mopped the floor with them in the finals. So I'm not buying Memphis as kids. The Clippers, I'm not on paper, Jill. They look like the NBA champs with Russ and Paul George. They look like the NBA champs. The question with them is, can Leonard hold up? That's the $1 million question. And Leonard will be seeing a much different Giannis today than what he saw in 19 in the Eastern Conference Championship. I think he'll be seeing a much different Giannis. The only team that I could see that maybe could match up with them would be the Lakers, but I don't think the Lakers are getting out of the Western Conference. And the reason why I don't think that they're getting out of the Western Conference. So as of right now, I'm looking at Milwaukee as the team to beat. I think that they're winning the NBA championship. And one other thing, Joe, if Middleton doesn't get hurt, how are we talking about Giannis? Because they win in the NBA championship this year for the 3rd straight year.
I think if that happens, I would argue he's on getting close, at least to the cusp of top 10. this trajectory.
I think we're having a way different conversation. Way different. Yes, we
And
are.
Even I feel like this Bucks team is better than the team they had last year, barring Middleton getting back to himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the addition of Crowder and Ingles has been looking good lately as well. So I don't know. I was just thinking that I really can't see whoever and I could be wrong, but whoever is coming out of the West.
I think anybody in the West, I think they smoke them. I don't think that they win against anybody in the West. I think they smoke anybody in the Western Conference. And you know how I feel about that, Jill. I think they smoke anybody in the Western Conference. Anybody.
Yeah. And the last thing, I saw this thing today and I wanted to get your opinion on it. And it's probably never going to happen. But somebody was talking about the Miami Heat and how they've obviously taken a step back this year. And
before you go any further, Jill, don't sleep on your boys, because I really don't like this matchup between them. And if Boston got to see Miami in round one, Boston is in for a dogfight.
This is true. Miami always becomes different in the postseason.
Playoff Jimmy Butler is a real thing. Just like I didn't realize that playoff Rondo was a real playoff. Jimmy Butler is a real thing, and Bam has gotten so much better. So don't count your boys out just yet, Jill. But I'm sorry if I interrupted.
Well, no. I mean, you're right, and I'm not like counting them out yet. But I just think I feel like their ceiling was last year, if that makes sense. That's fair. With that, I saw this like today, someone was talking about the Heat, and it's like, if let's say they go, I don't know, first, maybe second round exit this year, at what point do you either maybe not blow it up, but like maybe cash in on Tyler Hero, and somebody said, try and get a third kind of guy in a sense. Right. So like maybe
I think one of the main problems that we're having with the Miami Heat is people think that we got to blow it up when this team has peaked. Like, this is what you've seen. This is as good as it's going to get. Now, does that mean that we blow this up, or do we just tweak the lineup? Because I'm not moving off of Bam, right? I'm not moving off of Bam, and I'm not ready to move off of buckets neither, unless I can get something significant for him. I'm good moving off of Kyle Lowry. He comes off the books after the season, right? Tyler Hero hasn't been as efficient as you would like him to be. To be honest with you, I think moving him into the starting lineup was a bad idea. He was much more effective coming off the bench, playing starter minutes. I just thought he was much more effective doing that. But to get a 5-man and move Bam to the 4, which is his natural position, I think would suit you guys really well. That's number one. Number two, getting a lead guard. And I don't think you need an elite lead guard. I think you need somebody that's more athletic, of a distributor, kind of like what Jalen Brunson is in New York, but not as much of a scorer. But somebody that can give you 17, 18 a game as your lead guard, plus distribute. Right? If you could get something like that in a 5-man, I think we'll have something to work with. I'm not ready to blow this Miami unit up because you guys aren't garbage. I'm not ready to start over, Jill. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not ready to start over.
I think that's true. And that was the second part of what I was going to say, is like the person that I was watching was saying, like, what if, you get Hero and maybe another player or two or picks or however you want to do it. And, people are saying there's rumblings about Trae Young not being happy in
I do not
Atlanta.
want anything to do with Trae Young, Jill. And the reason why I don't want anything to do with Trae Young is because him on that Miami team, number one, he doesn't defend like I'd like for him to. Number two, his shot selection is very poor. And I think that would screw you guys up in terms of offense. Completely screw you guys up. So I'm not feeling Trae Young on that offense. No, not
but
at
I
all.
do agree that they should at least get a real, like, big man to complement.
Yes, absolutely. I'm
just don't know
definitely
who that
feeling
would be. Like, I don't know.
You know a guy who I would love for you guys to have? I think he'd be perfect for you guys if he was healthy. Lonzo Ball. I think he'd be perfect for the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
I love him in Miami. There's your lead guard. There's your distributor. But the problem is that he's not healthy. That's why that thing fell apart in Chicago, because that unit was built around him.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, I think we're having a completely different conversation about the Bulls. I love him in Miami. Love him.
That's just, I mean, it's a side note, but that just sucks what's going on with him.
Yeah, I know how it is.
Hate to see it. Not to end on a bad note, but
no. Good to see you, dear. You know where to find me at.
I do. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
dear. Out. Yeah, I got a couple more. I gotta speed this up because I gotta get with my man Tone in a bit. What up?
What up? What up? Salute to you, Chill.
What's up, brother?
Man, my question for you is: do you think Jokić is overrated? Do you think guys are moving too fast with Jokić for saying like he's a top 10 center of all time? And those, I've been hearing that a lot lately, and I think it's crazy because I told somebody and they thought I was crazy for saying this, but can you elaborate? I said the skill sets between Vlade Divac and Jokić are very similar. I'm not saying that Vlade was better than Jokić, but I was telling guys like if you guys ever watched Vlade Divac, he was special and he was kind of ahead of his time. It's just that he went against so much elite competition at that position. You really didn't get to see him flourish like he probably would in this era. And I was telling them he's part of the reason why the USA started playing on pro players instead of college players, of what they did in the 80s in the Olympics as well. So can you give a brief description of how
Absolutely.
special Vlade Divac was?
Well, the one thing you left out, Herm, is that the game today is very much like the Euro game.
Yep.
Where you got the big man handling the ball a lot. Well, you ain't have that back then, so you couldn't see Vlade handling the basketball, peeling the basketball off the rim and going with it. One, he was running with Magic, who was the primary ball handler, so that was a prop. That was an issue. Then when he gets to Sacramento, he's also running with another primary ball handler in both Jason Williams and Mike Bibby. So you ain't really get to see him handling the basketball and showcase those skills because he had those skills. Like he played in '88 in the Olympics. All those big Euro guys were like that. Sabonis, Divac, right? All of those big guys were like that. So the game has changed today, way different than what it was back then. If he was able to do back then what they do today, you would see a more expanded skill set from Divac.
I think he could do the same thing. I think he could actually,
because he had all of that stuff. He had all of that stuff. I'm not going to go as far as to say he was the rebounder that Joker was. I don't think he could shoot the long ball like Joker. I'm not sure that he was the distributor that Joker was. However, he had a lot of those skills that Joker had. He had a lot of those skills that Joker had. He just wasn't able to showcase that because that wasn't the game back then. That's the game today.
Yeah, and I honestly believe, and he was a better defender than Jokić. So I think he would have been great in this era if he had the opportunity to play in this era, man. And I
well, you got to remember. Keep going.
I think guys just got to slow down. Jokić is great in this era. He is one of the premier big men in this era. He's great. What he's doing this year is great, but at the same time, I think guys need to slow down when you're trying to compare him to the David Robinsons, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Elijah ones, and those boys.
I'm not listening to that, man. I can't hear it. I can't. And the reason why I can't hear it is because you didn't check that box. You did not check that. As awesome as you are individually, I'm not going to fight that, right? I'm not going to fight your ability to pass, your ability to score. I'm not going to fight that. You didn't check the box that those dudes checked, though.
Exactly.
And until you check that box, I can't have this conversation with you about them dudes. Yo, he a better offensive player than Chamberlain, and he's a better offensive player. I don't want to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that until you. I'm not listening to that. No, I don't care about that. I don't. I do not. I'm not trying to hear that.
He got to get it done if we go put him in that conversation, man. And especially hearing when he had it better offensively than Kobe Bryant, I was like, man, I not heard too much now. I not heard it all now. Like, yes, don't get me wrong, it's phenomenal for him to dictate the offense like he's doing. But I do kind of believe it hinders Denver in the playoffs though, because in the playoffs, that type of style to me is not going to work. It's not going to make them a championship team because I think at the end of the day, when Denver had that success in the bubble, Jamal Murray was handling the ball a lot, and he was dictating the offensive flow a lot. And I think Denver need to kind of go back into that flow. So then that way you have a guy engaged along with Joker. And I think with running the offense the way they're doing, I think that's going to hinder them. I think Golden State really kind of showed the blueprint and how to defend that. Just basically make Jokić a score and just slow down everybody else if they're going to play that type of style. So I think Denver got to start letting Jamal Murray dictate more of the offensive flow, and that'll make them more of a threat than what they are right now.
I don't think that they got to switch up a lot of what they're doing, because Joker, being the perimeter playmaker that he is, being the perimeter distributor that he is, being the perimeter scorer that he is, being the downhill player that he is, being the ball handler that he is, I don't think they got to switch up much of that. What I do think that they need to do is they need to get other people more involved. So get Jamal Murray more involved. So MPJ is more of a long ball shooter. That's all he does. If you notice, MPJ, that's really what he is. That's really all he is. So if you can get more of these guys involved in the offense more, I think that that would take a lot off of Joker. This is why that's probably why I have him as the most valuable player, as opposed to, because Herm, remember, there's a difference between the MVP being the most valuable player and the best player. It's not the same thing.
You're right.
It's not the same thing. So because of that, I think that if they could get those other guys more involved, I think we're having a different conversation about the Denver Nuggets. So, all right, Herm, I know where to find you at, brother.
Hey, what's good, OG? You got me?
What up?
I just got two quick questions.
Yep.
First one, is there any players from like back in the day you think would be more suited for today's era? Because like I was looking at like Paul Gasol, and I saw like in the later part of his career, his free ball was amazing. I feel like he'd be really suited to today's game. Anybody else you can think of?
Dale Ellis would be awesome in today's game. Chris Mullin would be fantastic in today's game. Joe Dumars, Alex English. Let's see. Kobe Bryant would be awesome in today's game. Let's see. Rasheed Wallace would be incredible in today's game. Those kind of guys would be awesome in today's game, no doubt about it.
I feel that. And then just quickly, like I know we talk about the stars all the time, but I'm thinking like the bench players. If there's like, I don't know, 5 bench players you could have in their prime on your team, any era, who would you want?
Vinnie Johnson. Let's see. Rotation guy. Vinnie Johnson, Lamar Odom. And these guys are basically Ginobili.
Yes.
Let's see. Rotation guys. JaVale McGee is one of the best rotation bigs ever. He might be.
He does some props.
He might be the best backup big man ever. I ain't gonna go as I'm gonna take that back. Not the best backup big man. He's one of the best backup big men that the league has seen, though. He ain't the best backup big man ever.
Teams.
Yeah, man. He might be one of the best backup big men that we don't talk about. No doubt.
With all the slander on his name as well.
Yeah, man. He's one of the best backup big men. He basically found his role as a backup big. He's one of the best. Him, Vinnie Johnson, Ginobili, backup point guard.
I like what I've been seeing from Tyus Jones lately. But obviously
Jamal
he's
Crawford, Crawford, and Lemon Pepper Lou. Those are the guys that I'm thinking about.
There we go.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, that's great.
All right, brother.
Great,
you know where to find me at.
Yo, what's good, Chilton?
What up with you?
Not much. And I'm here to kill all this logic about this MVP talk because everybody's not making any sense. Everybody's saying, "Oh, it should be Joel Embiid, but they're using the argument of defense. If you want to use defense in your argument as MVP, who should be the MVP? You should be using Giannis because Giannis is a better defender than all three of them.
That's an open. That ends the talk. We done talking. Like we don't have no more conversation. You just said it. Open the door, shut the door. We're done talking.
Like I don't understand it. Like a more reasonable argument for Joel Embiid would be his abundance, like him being the only big man to average over 30 points in since Wilt Chamberlain. It's crazy.
Shaq. Yeah, he's the only big man to lead the league in scoring since Shaq.
So that's a more reasonable argument. I just don't like that. It's not making any sense. Just be consistent, yo. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like the fact that Giannis is being slept on all the Bucks. I mean, people are not considering the fact that the Bucks have had an inconsistent lineup throughout all year because they've been dealing with injuries. Giannis has been dealing with injuries. That's going to play on the player's efficiency because you're in and out the lineup. It's all about consistency.
Right.
I don't know. That's just how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
I can appreciate. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
And also, I don't like this talk to everybody saying that the Knicks can beat my Cavs in the 7-game series. That's ridiculous. We need to cut that logic out right now.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. And the reason why I'm not buying that is because as good as Donovan Mitchell is, he solidified them as a top 5 seed when he got on the unit, right? He solidified them as a top 5 seed. I'm not sold on, as good as the Knicks are, the other stuff. Like Jalen Brunson's going to score the basketball, no question about that. The jury's still out on Julius Randle as a playoff performer because we saw what happened the last time in the playoffs. So the jury's still out on him. We know who Donovan Mitchell is in the playoffs. Darius Garland, we've already seen these guys in the play-in tournament. So they've gotten a taste of it. They've gotten better. I think that I have a difficult time seeing Cleveland losing to the Knicks in a 7-game series. I think it'll be a competitive series, but I can't see them. I can't see it. I can't see the Knicks beating them. Nah.
Facts. That's all I have to say, Chilton.
All right, brother. You know where to find me at.
Yo, if Middleton doesn't get hurt last year, and then because I think they had a 3-peat, right? Like year before, last year and this year. Does Giannis have a top 10 peak?
Yeah, I mean, how many? If we talking about peaks, so over the last, well, think about it. Over the last 5 years, winning the league MVP in back-to-back seasons. This is over the last 5 years.
4
winning the league MVP. This is season because he won it in 18-19.
Oh yeah,
won it in 19-20, 2021, 21-20. So we in year 5.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 seasons, so he would have won the league MVP twice, won the NBA championship 3 straight years, and won the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
I'm listening. Talk to me. I'm listening. Who we talking about?
Giannis.
Who doing that?
Yeah, I mean it's
if Middleton doesn't get hurt, because I think Milwaukee's winning the NBA championship this year.
Same.
If Middleton doesn't get hurt, and I think they win it again last year. If Middleton doesn't get hurt, so if Middleton doesn't get hurt last season, and I think they win it this year, add that up with all that Giannis has done over the last 5 years. 3 straight NBA championships, back-to-back league MVP, and a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and like first team to 3-peat since in like 20 years.
That's
like that's like a knock for like the Warriors too. If you think about it, like like the Bucks got it done with and they were all in the like they started from nothing, and then it'll be a knock on the other teams.
Wait a minute, that's Jordan. Now, do you think about it?
Yeah,
that's who that is. That's Jordan. From 88 to 93, won the league MVP twice.
Yeah.
Right? Won the league MVP. Won the league MVP 3 times, won the Defensive Player of the Year, and won the NBA championship 3 straight years. So he'd be one league MVP off. That's of course if he doesn't win the league MVP this year.
Yeah. He could win a 3rd one this year.
We having a way different conversation.
And he ain't even 30 yet.
No, he's not. He ain't even 29 yet. We talking about 30. He ain't 29 yet.
Doing all that before the age of 30. Come on, I think that's no question.
No, we having a way different conversation, no doubt about it. So, all right, brother, good to talk to you.
Yeah.
What up?
What's up, OG?
What up?
I got a question. I don't know if if it's me, but can you tell me something? Where do you have Bill Russell all time?
Number 5.
You got him 5?
Yep.
What do you think Bill Russell would be into today's game?
He would be awesome in today's game. The rebounder that he was, the transition player that he was. Bill Russell could shoot in the mid post. The defender that he was, Bill Russell would be awesome in today's game. He'd be incredible in today's game, no doubt about it. Incredible.
I did my homework on Bill Russell, and I got him outside the top 10 because of his defense impact was I think that Bill Russell was the greatest defender ever, but I think he was kind of challenged offensively.
Right.
I think he got like those outlier of games where he played good, like in the playoffs. But what are we talking about? A big man that hasn't shot over 50% from the field in any of his seasons.
Just so you know, that was the going rate when he was doing it. Chamberlain was the exception. Nobody else was doing that except Chamberlain. That's number one. Number two, he had a 4-year stretch where he averaged 20 and 20 in the playoffs. So it wasn't an outlier where he only did it once or twice. He had a 4-year stretch where he went almost 20 and 20 in the playoffs. Shaq can't say that. Jabal can't say that. Olajuwon can't say that. Chamberlain, the only one who can say that.
But don't you think like those Bill Russell teams are just so much better than everybody else's?
We don't do that with the Bulls. We don't do that with the Lakers, with Jabal and Magic, and we don't do that with the Celtics. We don't do that with the Warriors. We don't do that with any of those other teams. So I'm not going to do it with Bill Russell and his crew. Nah. So what you on a bomb squad? Nah, I'm not doing that.
If it's 12 or 13 teams in the NBA, wouldn't you think it'd be easier to win 11 rings if your team is so much better than everybody else's?
Actually, no. In fact, if it's less teams, that means that I got to see the tougher competition more than I would if there were 25 teams. So instead of having to see Shaq, if I play in Orlando and Olajuwon plays in Houston, I see Shaq on Christmas and I see him again in March. I got to see Shaq 15 times before January the 1st. I got to see David Robinson 12 times before Christmas because there's only 10 teams in the league. So not only do I have to see the tougher competition more, my game has to expand because I got to see these dudes more than I would normally have to, as opposed to seeing a dude once or twice a year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But from the eye test, like, it's not many games you can find. I don't know. I just watch him. And he's like, he can pass. I mean, no, okay, he's a mid passer, but he was a awesome playmaker. Like the floor spacer he was, the putback king he was, and the player he was. Like he made his team better offensively. That's why I think he's a great playmaker. But he was a mid passer. He was an average finisher. I just think but that's. Yeah.
I think that the further we get away from this sort of stuff, this is the kind of logic that's going to be presented. And I feel the same way about, and I made this same claim. That's why I'm here. Because I made this same claim that in 20 years, right? In 20 years, famous, 2040, in March of 2043, Kobe Bryant will be removed from the NBA 35 years. Right? He'll be his prime. I'm talking about. I ain't talking about when he retired. I'm talking about his prime. Mm-hmm. We're looking at this dude being gone 35 years, and it's going to be dudes 20 years from now that's going to look at Kobe Bryant. They're going to talk about him like he was Allen Houston.
But I don't think so. Like
he was Latrell Sprewell. Because I got to listen to people talk to me about Jordan played against plumbers. Like Joe Dumars would be mid in today's game, not realizing how awesome Joe D was. Mitch Richmond couldn't play in today's game. So it's going to be up to guys like you, because you were around when Kobe Bryant was playing. I was around when Kobe Bryant was playing. It's going to be up to people like me to tell them that you have no idea how good this guy really was. Now, I'm not ridiculous enough to think, right? I'm not the guy that's running around here saying, Bob Cousy's the best point guard in NBA history. Easy. There's no way that 60 years has gone by and you haven't seen a point guard better than Bob Cousy. Give me a break. There's no way that that's happened. However, to say that he was mid when he was averaging almost 20 and 10 for like 6 years, like, hold on, B. Let's chill out with that.
I don't think that's like, I mean, to the extent, like with a guy like Kobe, I don't think that's going to be the case because of like, we say Kobe is like more skilled than guys today, though. So like,
watch.
So when time go by, is we gonna say guys right now isn't that skilled? Because Kobe is more skilled than anybody in today's game. Probably Kevin Durant is a comparison, but
I'm telling you, my man. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you watch.
It's crazy.
You watch. So, all right, brother. Good to talk to you.
Good talk.
What up?
Hey, what's good?
What's up?
Hey, man, what's your thoughts on AD lately, man?
My thoughts on AD. The Lakers are going to go as far as he takes them. They're going to go as far as his health takes them. I don't think he's going to hold up. That's the difference.
What do you feel like about his play lately?
I watched them last night, and I did not appreciate him letting Wendell Carter push him off the block. I hated watching that. I did not like that at all, and I don't like how unaggressive he can be sometimes offensively. I do like how it translates on defense, where if he's not going offensively, it'll translate defensively, where he'll get on the backboard, right? And he'll be a better rim protector. He'll do that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, the Lakers aren't built where they can sustain, or they could sustain him going 18 and 13. That's not good enough. No, they need, even though I think over the last 10 games, I think he's 26 and 13 and 2 blocks. They're going to need that minimum with James out of the lineup. And I don't think he's going to hold up. I think that's the difference.
I got a feeling. At this point, I just don't think he's a lead guy. I think I think he needs another guy to be that lead guy with him. He just doesn't have that dog in him, to me. You made a comment earlier about how like the league tricked big men into not playing under the basket. He's tricking himself right now. He refuses to consistently back dudes down, get in the paint, get under the basket. Instead, he likes to, a lot of times when he gets a one-on-one matchup, he loves to face up dudes and shoot jumpers. I mean, it's frustrating to watch.
You can do that, right? I could get you 8 feet away from the basket on a block and face you up. I could do that. The problem that I'm having is that when he gets to the elbow and he's 14 feet away and Wendell Carter is pushing him 17 feet out from the basket, I got a problem with that. That's where my issue is. It's not when you get on the block and he's 8 feet away from the bucket and he open pivots and faces a guy up and shoots right over the top of him. I got no problem with that. My issue is when he's on the box and he doesn't get the ball and he's 8 feet away from the basket and he gets pushed to 13 feet away from the basket. No, that dude should not be pushing you that far away from the basket. No, that shouldn't happen.
Okay, but he's one of them rare superstars where I genuinely feel like I don't know what he's going to give me on a given night. I don't know if he's going to give me a superstar performance or he's going to give me one of them subpar performances. Like,
so frustrating.
Yeah, so I forget which game it was. They won the game, but he had 6 points.
Well, what about last night?
They're lucky they won.
I think he was
last night too.
Yeah, he went 15.
Was last night after the way you ended the Mavs game to come out and play like that after the way you ended that game? Like I expected him to come out dogging, like come in.
And it was a squandered opportunity too, because like if you beat the Mavs, right, and then beat Orlando with Golden State losing twice this weekend and Minnesota losing, the Lakers are in the 6th spot.
Yeah, it's
they're in the 6th spot. But to your point about him being frustrating, so like you just saw last night, he'll go 15 and 11, but then today is Monday. Like he'll see Giannis on Wednesday and go 40 and 20 against him.
Yeah, it's like that. To me, that's not a number one lead superstar on the team. That's a guy that needs another guy to really take that mantle for him.
He'll see Joel Embiid and go 35 and 15. I'm like, okay, but then he'll turn around and see, I don't know, he'll see the dude in Toronto and he'll 18 and 9. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, that's a difference to me between him and Giannis and Embiid and these other big men is those guys are way more consistent than him. Like, I feel like it's more of an outlier to have those 15-point games where you're shooting 3 of 10 going in the fourth quarter. With AD, it just feels like that could happen any other night. I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know. And it's frustrating because they should be in a way better spot right now. Like we were just talking about, it felt like 100. It feels like 100 years ago now that Pelicans game happened where they blew them out, and it just feels like a totally different season right now. And that was only a few games ago.
And they put themselves in a really precarious spot because now you got Phoenix coming in on Wednesday. In the process of Phoenix coming in on Wednesday, I think you got Minnesota coming in on Friday. So you got we're really down to crunch time here where you can't give any more games away. You can't do it.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Can't give any more games away. You can't.
Hey, my last thing is tell Fluent, man, you probably gonna disagree on this, but tell Fluent, I was looking at the paces. LeBron's 19-year average pace in the league in terms of, league pace is actually slightly lower than Jordan's was over his 15 years. You could tell him that, but anyways.
All right, I'll let him know.
Peace.
All right, brother. Out. Speaking of Fluent, I got to go meet my man Tone right now. So I got to end this. It's about that time. It was good to see you dudes tonight. I will be on the panel tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, and we will get after it. And I will be back on here Wednesday night. We will get after it again. You guys know where to find me at. I am not hard to find. I'm either here or I'm on TikTok, and that's what it is. So I will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it.